Hey, what's going on everybody? This is Dom, and today we're getting into my review of the iPad Air. Let me start by saying that this is an excellent upgrade regardless of which iPad you currently own. Now that statement may be a little backpedaling on my part because when this was first released, I wasn't really convinced that it was a worthy upgrade for anyone who owned a 4th generation iPad. Well, I was a little bit wrong in that department, so let me come out here and tell you that this iPad Air is excellent. Sure, the iPad Air is definitely faster than the iPad 4, but there's not a lot out there at the moment that can really take advantage of that speed. You'll see quicker load times in games and other apps, but that alone shouldn't be your deciding factor for upgrading. The difference is in the design. The iPad Air is designed to match its little brother, the iPad mini. In fact, aside from one being much larger than the other, you'd never know the difference. Packed inside of this sleek tablet is Apple's A7 dual-core processor, M7 motion coprocessor, a 2048 by 1536 resolution IPS display with 264 ppi, and an 8827 mAh battery and 1 GB of RAM. Okay, I know what you're thinking, 1 GB of RAM, that is absolutely nothing when it comes to tablets and laptops and things like that, but trust me, the iPad Air will give you a fluid experience regardless of that. The good news is that you don't have to sacrifice performance for portability. At the end of the day, it's going to be a preference of screen size between the iPad Air and the iPad mini. Would you prefer a larger screen or a smaller screen? So keep in mind, the iPad Air is exactly $100 more than the iPad mini with Retina display for the Wi-Fi configurations, and they pretty much carry the exact same internal specifications. It's light, thin, and an absolute joy to use when it comes to playing games or watching movies or browsing the web. I'd take the design of the iPad Air over its predecessor any day of the week, and prior to now, I preferred the design of Apple's iPad mini over my 4th generation, but now we get the best of both worlds. This new design makes the iPad 4 look like a dinosaur. Now that's just my opinion, but I definitely prefer the sleek look of the iPad Air over the 4th generation iPad, and I think that there's a lot of people out there that will agree with me on that. As far as its actual build goes, the iPad Air is 28% lighter and 20% thinner than its predecessor. Now this is obviously an excellent change for those used to holding a tablet for a long period of time, and I definitely appreciate the decrease in size and weight. Enough with comparisons, let's talk about performance. Like I said, the iPad Air is fast. It's definitely fast enough to provide a fluid experience in iOS 7 and will run any game or application with ease. You'll know this tablet is fast when you don't run into any performance issues. Expect high benchmark results on this device, and in my recent video comparison, the iPad Air's Geekbench score was twice as high as the iPad 4, so keep that in mind as another factor to influence your upgrading decision. Camera performance is pretty good as well. The front-facing camera will only give you 1.2 megapixels, but mainly this 720p camera is meant for video conferencing over Skype or FaceTime. The back camera will shoot 1080p video and take 5 megapixel pictures, but who takes pictures with an iPad anyway? Just in case you were curious, here's a few examples of some photos taken on the iPad Air. If you were wondering about battery life, that's definitely going to vary between users, but in my testing, this battery was extremely hard to drain. It just keeps going, and the standby time is absolutely excellent. Because of its standby time and long-lasting battery life, the iPad Air is pretty much always ready to go when you are, and that's always a plus in my book. Now, it's not all butterflies and rainbows for the iPad Air. As much as we're familiar with the design, it's getting old having stereo speakers on the bottom of an iPad. They just don't sound good, and not to mention, I consider stereo sound to be an immersive experience with audio coming from the left and right side of something. I'm just not a fan of these speakers, and I really hope that Apple will move them on future iOS devices. Either way, I think the iPad Air is a solid purchase and upgrade over any tablet you currently own, unless of course you own the iPad mini with Retina display, but we'll save my opinions on that device for another video. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this brief review, please hit that thumbs up button as it does help out the channel a lot, and for more coverage on the latest and greatest iOS or Android devices, subscribe to this channel if you are not already. Thank you very much for watching everybody, I really appreciate it. This is Dom, and have a great day.